Hi, I'm Dan Grieve and I'm here at the stunning Apes Hill Golf Resort in Barbados, and today we're going to talk about the three key shots that we all need in the short game. A chip and run shot, a pitch shot and a bunker shot, and I'm going to give you three drills that you can do within each shot to improve how you play it. Let's get started. So the first thing you've got to be aware of is how relaxed you need to be when you chip. As in, most golfers are way too tight over the ball. It's very difficult to get any feel and any touch when you're gripping it as hard as most golfers do around the green. So what I tend to see a lot of amateurs doing is holding it like this. You can see how rigid my arms are, really, really tight. Grip pressure probably 10 out of 10, and when I chip like that, I've got no feel. I'm probably going to hit a lot of thin shots like that. So if you recognize that shot, this is the drill for you. Just stand there in your golf posture here and let your arms just totally hang naturally. And what you'll find is when your arms hang naturally, they have a slight bend to them. Like no one's arms would be like this. And if I was stood here just chatting to you like this, you probably think I looked a little bit strange, but a lot of you actually have your arms on the golf club like that. So just let your arms hang. That is how they should sit onto the club. Then your triceps are nicely connected onto the rib cage there. And then when you chip, you'll start getting a little bit more feel and a little bit more flow in the shot. And that's how you start getting touch when you chip. So rather than those really tight arms, just let them hang naturally. And I think that alone is really going to help your chipping. So one of the things I see in chipping a lot, which really compromises your strike, is basically the player moves too much from side to side. There's too much what I call lateral shift in the motion. So a great drill to improve how you move in a chip shot. Remember, a chip shot really should be rotational. It should be about having a fixed point running through your lead side. So I try and imagine a rod running through my foot, through my knee, hip, shoulder and towards my left ear. So I create this nice line here, and then I'm rotating around. As I say, most golfers would tend to move a little bit too much. Again, get thin shots, get heavy shots because there's too much movement. It's good to have a little bit of weight transfer in full swing. That's a good thing, but in short game, it is going to hurt you. So feel like your weight's going to stay here, and the best exercise and drill you can do for that is where you go up onto your trail toe like this, and then when you do that, you see, and hit some shots, you have to keep the foot like this. Now, if you start moving around, it's going to be quite obvious because your foot's going to plant back down on the ground. So just as an exercise, just hit chip shots with that foot like that, and you'll see how you'll start to get some really nice crisp strikes. It will teach you this weight staying on that front side. Really nice exercise. I think if you do that drill, it's really going to crisp up your low point and get you striking better chips. And the third drill, which I think will really help you in terms of getting a better feel for your chipping around the green, is actually to experiment using different lofts. I think too many golfers stick to the same club too much around the greens. Sometimes it will be the right loft, but really in this situation here, there's quite a lot of green, it's into the wind a little bit. If I was to use something quite lofted, there's a good chance of it spinning too much and the ball wouldn't get there. So you've got to consider the slope of the green. Out here in Barbados, we've also got the grain. The grain is growing towards me, that's going to slow the first bounce down. And also the length, how much green you've got to work with. And also the firmness of the green, is it firm or is it soft? And all those things go into the pot, and that helps you then select the right club. But first off, you've got to get a feel for how the ball reacts. So I've got three clubs here. I've got a 52 degree, I've got a 9-iron and a 7-iron. And I'd love for you to go out and practice just with these three lofts. Pick four if you want, you know, your call, but just put a little bit of gap between the lofts and just land the ball in a similar place each time, and then you'll just see how much that ball reacts. So I'm going to start with the 52 degree and I'm going to land this around about halfway towards the pin with my chip and run, release one method, and we'll see how that reacts. So it's landed there, it's had a bit of check as you can see, and it stopped fairly close to the hole, but I had to carry that a little over halfway with the conditions. Now, of the shots you can practice with, the clubs is a 9-iron. Now the 9-iron doesn't need to carry as far as that. And remember, this is one technique. The setup and swing is exactly the same. Even the speed is the same, but the ball's going to react a little bit differently now. So a 9-iron I can carry around about a third of the way, just over that light patch, and the ball's going to run more. Because it's running more, it's going to break more, so I'm going to aim more to the right. And you can see how that ball wants to run, it has far less spin on it, so it's running out a lot more. Okay, and it's by practicing with different lofts, it gives you this instinct and this feel that you don't get from using the same loft all of the time. Now I've got a 7-iron in my hand. Our 7-iron more or less is a 25% carry, so I can land that just onto the green, and it's going to have even less spin than an iron, and it's going to run a little bit more. So you can see how that ball's really running on, really quick. And then you start to learn which loft is most appropriate for that pin. Now really for a 7-iron, because I'm landing it on a downslope and there's not too much green and it's really the wrong club. So that's how you start to learn. Now if I'm going right out to the very back of the green now, so forget the pin for a second. So this green's what, about 30 yards long. I can land this about 10 on, and you can see how that ball's running out all the way to the back of the green. So if the pin was right at the back, it would be the 7. The pin's a little bit closer, it'd be more the 52, pin in the middle, a 9-iron. And this is just a great exercise to take the technique that you've got and put some feel into it by using different lofts to start getting that feel for how the ball runs out differently, so you can get to all the pin positions on the green. Okay, so we've done the chipping, now we're in the bunker. Key shot, I know it's a shot that intimidates a lot of club golfers, and it shouldn't do. Once you get the hang of the basics, it's not a difficult shot at all. The biggest fault I see in the sand is the golfer has too much movement side to side. You need a little bit more speed, of course, and having the ball in the sand intimidates the golfer and they start trying to hit the ball too hard. As a result, there's too much movement side to side. Very difficult to control where you're entering the sand then. You either take too much sand or you get the ball first. And we know that's a disastrous shot, that isn't, when you get that thin one that flies too far. So the first drill is really making sure you get a really solid platform at address before you even take the club away. So really, I want you to feel like your driver width. The trail foot is slightly turned out and your front foot wants to be 45 degrees. So as a drill, just mark a line in the sand at the 45-degree angle and make sure your foot is really pointing down that line. From there, the knee goes forward and your pelvis is forward this way. And with the width, I can really feel like I've got a lot of rooting downwards, which means it's very difficult for me to move too much side to side. It's very much a rotational movement. So it all begins with that stance. Once you have that rooting there, it's so much easier just to rotate around and hit nice splash shots like that rather than that side to side. So it begins with a solid platform. Okay, in the second drill, I want you to practice. It's a great exercise. It's my favourite one, really. And you just get the toe of your sand wedge, turn it down, and draw a line coming towards you this way. Draw a nice line, and then just work down the line. Don't need a ball for this, because two things that golfers struggle with. One is the impact point, as in trying to hit that right sort of 1 to 2 inches behind the ball. And the second is getting the right noise. And the noise is everything. Obviously, no noise at all, you're going to thin it. Too much noise, too much sand, okay, you're going to leave the ball in. You're trying to get that nice smack of the sand where it just clips it. So work your way down the line. Start at this end, give yourself that platform I just mentioned, and see if you can hit that line. So that would have been a really nice shot. You can see the entry point was just behind it and it splashed through. And most importantly, I got that great noise. So can you get another great noise? There we go. And you keep working down that line and keep trying to hit that, and it'll give you a really, so look at my shots there, every single one of them has just entered at exactly the same point. So I know my entry point is really consistent. If your entry point was way back or way forward, it wouldn't take long doing this drill to really get some consistency, and you can start instinctively making the changes you need to get that strike point more on the line. You could then have a ball at the end of the line, so you're working down it, getting that smack of the sand, hitting that line, and then you just walk into your next one with the ball there, and then you hit a nice bunker shot. So really simple exercise to improve your low point control and get the right noise, which is critical for that splash shot out the bunker. Right, so the final drill I want you to practice when you're working on your bunker play is to keep your chest moving through it. This is the most common fault I would tend to see out of the greenside bunker, where the player just basically quits on it like this. So they're coming down quite nicely and then this happens. Body stops, club decelerates, and then you're playing a second bunker shot, which is definitely what you don't want. So when I play bunker shots, I feel like my chest is turning. Even as I'm watching the ball go through the air, I am still turning. So what I don't want to do here is just face the flag. I want to face left of it. So there's some palm trees up there that I'm going to keep turning to, and my job is to make sure I rotate past the flag. So, but I'm not going to quit on it this time. You're going to hit the shot, and as an exercise, and don't mind where the ball goes when you're working on these drills, by the way. You're working on your technique. Try and get away from outcome. It's more about the process here. So, as it's going through the air, I'm still going to be turning, still rotating as it's going through, and that is what allows the ball to have the momentum that it requires because the sand is working the ball out. Let's do that one more time. Keep the chest moving. See how the chest has gone. So if my right side is still down, my chest is pointing over in that direction instead of the flag because I'm turning past it. And if you do that, you're going to get more commitment through the sand and you're going to get more out first time and hopefully nice and close to still get that up and down. Okay, so we're now into pitching. Now pitching is the third area of the short game which people really struggle with, and they struggle because they don't really know if it's long game or short. What exactly is this awkward 30 to 60 yard shot? Well, for me it's definitely in the short game family. That means we're still creating that firm point down that left side, that pivot line there in which we rotate around. So it's still very much a rotational movement. We don't want that side to side movement which you would associate a little bit more with full swing. So that's the first thing to understand. And it's important to build connection. And you want to build connection with the ground to really make sure that you have that nice strong base. It's a narrower stance for pitching, but you want to really feel like your lead side is pushing down. You want the difference between sort of standing on the ground and really rooting yourself on the ground. So first thing, get connection with the ground. That's going to stop a lot of that tendency to want to sway too much. And the second point, the second drill I want you to work on is really just getting your sleeves and just sort of tucking them in a little bit here because we want the triceps to be connected to the rib cage, and then from there you're going to feel like not only have you got the connection with the ground, you've got the connection with your arms on your chest, and all of these factors here are going to lead you to get better control when you pitch. So let's give that a go. So pressure down through the feet, triceps connected, and rotate the chest around the feet. And then we get a nice pitch shot like that. If you note how my right foot is quite quiet, it hasn't driven through. We get a nice controlled shot in there and hopefully still make the par. So pitching, it's all about connection with the ground and the arms on the body. And the second drill I'd really like you to work on with your pitching is actually start to vary your trajectory a little bit. And don't feel that's above you. Anyone can do this. And you can do it very simply by just changing loft. So if you're into the wind a little bit, it's probably not a good idea to use a lofted club like a 56, a 58 or a 60, and the ball would go too high, the wind would stall it and it would come up short. And I'm sure you've done that quite a few times there. So if it's into the wind, let's get the flight down a little bit. Let's put it in lower. And the easiest way to do that is change loft. So I used a 56 there for the previous pitch shot. It was a nice flight, it had lots of spin, but that spin into the wind would hurt you. And also if the pin is at the back of the green, you'd really want to be going a little bit lower as well. So I've now got the pitching wedge. So it's a 47 degree pitching wedge here. And I'm going to play the same technique, still connected, still got the pressure down, but the flight's going to go in lower. Imagine it going through the wind or to a back pin, just a simple loft change. You can see it's a much lower ball flight. Stance is the same, it's got to the back of the green there. Much easier doing that than really trying to hit it really high. The wind is actually quite a bit into here today at Apes Hill, so we've got to make sure we control that ball flight. So if you were just to practice hitting kind of the same carry number, you choose a carry number, it might be 60 for example, can you use your 56 or 58, whatever you carry, and can you hit a 60-yard shot flighted up? Obviously when you're hitting it high, there's going to be a little bit of a longer follow through, but then can you also flight it down, go to a pitching wedge and hit the lower shot by finishing a bit shorter, but primarily it's the loft which is going to change your trajectory, and then you can start accessing different pin positions and getting through the wind or downwind better by changing the loft. Okay, it's all part of building the IQ, improving that and linking it with your technique to pitch the ball better. Right, now the final drill I want you to work on in your pitching is a T-peg drill. It's my favourite drill. It's the one that I've used the most with players of all levels to really pitch the ball better, because I think a lot of golfers don't understand how you hit that sort of flighted shot which gets a lot of spin, and really it's where you hit the ball on the face. You want to be hitting it really on that third and fourth groove, which hits that lower flighted shot with lots of spin. The best way to practice it is the tee peg. So you tee it up like a driver, high as a driver, use your 54, 56 and hover it just at the bottom of the ball, and don't think too much about it, let your instinct do it, but the whole idea of this drill is clipping the ball more rather than driving it. So if you're hitting down big divots, really kind of down onto the ball and getting a high face contact, this will be superb for you to learn how you can clip it more, which will then hit it in with a little bit more spin. So the goal here is very simply, can you hit it off the tee peg without moving the tee peg? If it just disturbs a bit, that's not a problem. What you don't want to do is break it, basically. So we're going to clip it off the top. Let's see if we can hit one in there. That's loaded with spin. It's got about a yard of draw, and if you can just see that land, it's actually spinning backwards and coming back towards the hole. So, and the tee peg is still there, which is the main goal. So great exercise to get you hitting it out the correct part of the club face and hitting that low flighted but really high spinning pitch shot, the tee peg drill. So hopefully that's giving you some key drills that you can work on to improve the shots that we all need when we play chip shot around the green, the pitch shot and the bunker shot. You've got some key points there you can work on to improve your short game and enjoy this great game of golf even more. All the best.